Chapter 2. The Time of Trouble to Come. Behold, the former things are come to pass, and a new thing I do declare. Before they spring forth, I tell you of them. Isaiah 42:9. It is no secret today that the overall state of the world is on a sharp decline. From the declining world economy to social instability, the quality of life on a global scale is less desirable today than ever before. Anxiety and depression are at their highest level around the world. In some cities, the murder rates are so high people live like hostages in their own homes, afraid to venture out to get even a loaf of bread. In some households, guns are revered more than Bibles. If you are a Bible-believing Christian, you know without a doubt that greater troubles than these are on the horizon. Although we all endure troubles, heartaches, and tragedy in our lives, the struggle will not last forever. For believers who mourn, are sick, are poor, and/or are persecuted for their beliefs, their troubles will come to an end as Bible prophecy is fulfilled. Certain Bible texts that supply comforting words when things get rough will prove to be even more literal and powerful as time draws to an end. Many of those uplifting texts are real prophetic promises of complete protection during the future time of trouble. In this day and age, people are subject to tragedy, and the wicked are free to oppress, victimize, and terrorize the vulnerable throughout the world. But this will not be the case in the days shortly before Christ makes his appearance, when the time of trouble officially begins. During those days, the people of God will be totally shielded from the trouble in the world and will pass through unscathed. Unbelievers will not be so lucky. The following texts testify to these things. Psalm 5:11-12. But let all those that put their trust in thee rejoice. Let them ever shout for joy, because thou defendest them. Let them also that love thy name be joyful in thee. For thou, Lord, wilt bless the righteous. With favor wilt thou compass him as with a shield. Psalm 9:9-10. The Lord also will be a refuge for the oppressed, a refuge in times of trouble. And they that know thy name will put their trust in thee. For thou, Lord, hast not forsaken them that seek thee. Psalm 32:6-11. For this shall every one that is godly pray unto thee, in a time when thou mayest be found. Surely in the flood of great waters they shall not come nigh unto him. Thou art my hiding place. Thou shalt preserve me from trouble. Thou shalt compass me about with songs of deliverance. Selah. I will instruct thee and teach thee in the way which thou shalt go. I will guide thee with mine eye. Be ye not as the horse or as the mule, which have no understanding, whose mouth must be held in with bit and bridle, lest they come near unto thee. Many sorrows shall be to the wicked, but he that trusteth in the Lord, mercy shall compass him about. Be glad in the Lord, and rejoice. Be righteous, and shout for joy, all ye that are upright in heart. Isaiah 33:2. O Lord, be gracious unto us. We have waited for thee. Be thou their arm every morning, our salvation also in the time of trouble. Psalm 41:1-2. Blessed is he that considereth the poor. The Lord will deliver him in time of trouble. The Lord will preserve him and keep him alive, and he shall be blessed upon the earth, and thou wilt not deliver him unto the will of his enemies. Psalm 46:1-3. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore will not we fear, though the earth be removed, and though the mountains be carried off into the midst of the sea, though the waters thereof roar and be troubled, though the mountains shake with the swelling thereof. Selah. Psalm 50, 14-15. Offer unto God thanksgiving, and pay thy vows unto the Most High, and call upon me in the day of trouble. I will deliver thee, and thou shalt glorify me. Psalm 91, 4-5. He shall cover thee with his feathers, and under his wings shalt thou trust. His truth shall be thy shield and buckler. Thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night, nor for the arrow that flieth by day, nor for the pestilence that walketh in darkness, nor for the destruction that wasteth at noonday. Psalm 91, 7-12. 1,000 shall fall at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come nigh thee. Only with thine eyes shalt thou behold and see the reward of the wicked. Because thou hast made the Lord, which is my refuge, even the Most High, thy habitation. There shall no evil befall thee, neither shall any plague come nigh thy dwelling. For he shall give his angels charge over thee, to keep thee in all thy ways. They shall bear thee up in their hands, lest thou dash thy foot against a stone. Psalm 91, 15. He shall call upon me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. With long life I will satisfy him, and shew him my salvation. Isaiah 35, 3-4. Strengthen ye the weak hands, and comfort the feeble knees. Say unto them that are of a fearful heart, Be strong, fear not. Behold, your God will come with vengeance, even God with the recompense. He will come and save you. Nahum 1:7. The Lord is good, a stronghold in the day of trouble, and he knoweth them that trust him. Acts 2:21. And it shall come to pass, that whoever shall call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. If you are of the household of faith, meditate on those prophetic texts. Allow the scriptures concerning the time of trouble put you at ease rather than produce anxiety. Know that the state of this fallen world is on the cusp of getting a much-needed makeover. When things begin to go from bad to worse, be at ease knowing that God will guide and protect his people every step of the way. The Lord has been so gracious to leave us with a warning and words of assurance concerning things that will take place in the latter days. Isaiah 42:9. Behold, the former things are come to pass, and new things I do declare. Before they spring forth, I tell you of them. War in Jerusalem. As the time of trouble draws near, a prophecy found in Zechariah chapter 14 will begin to unfold. Social instability around the world will ultimately lead to a war of biblical proportions in Jerusalem. Events that have taken place in the Middle East so far will pale in comparison to what is prophesied of in Zechariah 14. During the war, the Lord will turn the unbelieving world against those who reject Yeshua as Christ and Savior in Jerusalem. This is a very sensitive topic, but the Bible is clear that only those who call upon the name of Christ will be saved. Keep in mind, not everyone in Jerusalem will be subject to the words of Zechariah's prophecy, because there are many Christians in Jerusalem that will be protected in those days. just as Christians all around the world will be shielded once the time of trouble officially begins. After Jerusalem falls, Christ will return to Zion, as the Holy Land is often called, for the final judgment and to establish New Jerusalem in Israel. When Christ's feet touch the Mount of Olives, the landscape will be rearranged to accommodate the holy city of God, and Christ will sit on his throne here on earth. The following texts testify of these things. Zechariah 14, verses 1 to 5. Behold, the day of the Lord cometh, and thy spoil shall be divided in the midst of thee. For I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle, and the city shall be taken, and the houses rifled, and the women ravished, and half of the city shall go forth into captivity, and the residue of the people shall not be cut off from the city. Then shall the Lord go forth and fight against those nations, as when he fought in the day of battle. And his feet shall stand in that day upon the Mount of Olives, which is before Jerusalem on the east. And the Mount of Olives shall cleave in the midst thereof toward the east and toward the west. And there shall be a very great valley, and half of the mountain shall remove toward the north, and half of it toward the south. And ye shall flee to the valley of the mountains. For the valley of the mountains shall reach unto Azael, yea, ye shall flee, like as ye fled from before the earthquake in the days of Uzzah the king of Judah. And the Lord my God shall come, and all the saints with thee. Amos 1:7. But I will send a fire on the wall of Gaza, which shall devour the palaces thereof. Zephaniah 2, verse 4. For Gaza shall be forsaken, and Ashkelon a desolation. They shall drive out Ashdod at noonday, and Ekron shall be rooted up. Matthew 25:31 to 34. When the Son of Man shall come in his glory, and all the holy angels with him, then shall he sit upon the throne of his glory, and before him shall be gathered all nations, and he shall separate them one from another, as a shepherd divideth his sheep from the goats. And he shall set the sheep on his right hand, but the goats on his left. Then shall the king say unto them on his right hand, Come, ye blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. The following passages foreshadow what will occur in the end, when all is said and done, to the unbelieving nations of the world who are turned against Jerusalem and who also reject Christ as Savior and King. Zechariah 14, verses 12 and 13. And this shall be the plague wherewith the Lord shall smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem. Their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet, and their eyes shall consume away in their holes, and their tongue shall consume away in their mouth. And it shall come to pass in the day that a great tumult from the Lord shall be among them, and they shall lay hold every one on the hand of his neighbor, and his hand shall rise up against the hand of his neighbor. The two witnesses appear. While the time of trouble is ramping up, two witnesses will gain recognition in the world. These two individuals, ordained by God, will possess power from God and will perform various miracles that will affect the whole world. During this time, a paradigm shift will occur. After witnessing the supernatural events linked to these two witnesses, everyone will be forced to question what they really believe and will have to come to terms with where they stand before God. During their days of prophecy, the two witnesses will be unstoppable. This will strike fear and anger in people around the world. When the days are fulfilled and the two witnesses have completed their prophesying, The Bible tells us they will be killed, then resurrected from the dead after 3 days. The 2 witnesses will then be taken up to heaven. In that same hour, there will be an earthquake that will kill thousands and thousands of people. These events will strike fear in the people around the world, but those who know and believe the truth will rejoice, because they will know for a fact that Christ's return will be imminent. Revelation 11, verses 3 to 13. And I will give power unto my 2 witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth. For these are the 2 olive trees, and the 2 candlesticks standing before the God of the earth. And if any man will hurt them, fire proceedeth out of their mouth, and devour their enemies. And if any man will hurt them, he must in this manner be killed. These have power to shut heaven, that it rain not in the days of their prophecy, and have power over waters to turn them to blood, and to smite the earth with all plagues as often as they will. And when they shall have finished their testimony, the beast that ascendeth out of the bottomless pit shall make war against them, and shall overcome them, and kill them. And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which is spiritually called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified. And they of the people and kindreds and tongues and nations shall see their dead bodies 3 days and a half, and shall not suffer their bodies to be put into graves. And they that dwell upon the earth shall rejoice over them, and make merry, and shall send gifts one to another, because these 2 prophets tormented them that dwell on the earth. And after 3 days and a half the Spirit of life from God entered into them, and they stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon them which saw them. And they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, Come up hither. And they ascended up to heaven in a cloud, and their enemies beheld them. And the same hour was there a great earthquake, and the 10th part of the city fell. And in the earthquake were slain of men 7,000, and the remnant were affrighted, and gave glory to the God of heaven. Key events linked to 4 angels. The Bible gives us a look into additional events that will be occurring in the world prior to Christ's final return. In the book of Revelation, 7 angels usher in end-time events with a blast from their trumpets. The events linked to the time of trouble correspond to the first 4 trumpets that are blown by the first 4 angels. The remaining 3 angels of the 7 will blow their trumpets after the 1,000 years of Christ's millennial reign on earth, right before the War of Armageddon takes place at the very end. As each of the first 4 angels sound their trumpets, a catastrophic cascade of events will be unleashed on earth. Many plants, animals, and people will perish in the melee. The world water supply will become affected and temperatures plummet. The events most likely take place during the same time the 2 witnesses are in the world. This is due to the fact that there are similarities between the acts of the 2 witnesses and the results of the 4 trumpets that are blown in heaven. As the trumpets are sounded up in heaven, the miracles performed by the 2 witnesses terrorize the unbelieving world below. Revelation 8, 5 to 13. And the angel took the censer, and filled it with fire from the altar, and cast it unto the earth. And there were voices, and thunderings, and lightnings, and an earthquake. And the 7 angels which had the 7 trumpets prepared themselves to sound. The first angel sounded, and there followed hail and fire mingled with blood, and they were cast upon the earth. And the 3rd part of the trees was burnt up, and all green grass was burnt up. And the 2nd angel sounded, and as it were, a great mountain burning with fire was cast into the sea, and the third part of the sea became blood. And the third part of the creatures which were in the sea, and had life, died. And the third part of the ships were destroyed. And the third angel sounded, and there fell a great star from heaven, burning as it were a lamp. And it fell upon the third part of the river, and upon the fountains of waters. And the name of the star is called Wormwood. And the third part of the waters became wormwood. And many men died of the waters, because they were made bitter. And the fourth angel sounded, and the third part of the sun was smitten, and the third part of the moon, and the third part of the stars, so as the third part of them was darkened, and the day shone not for a third part of it, and the night likewise. And I beheld, and heard an angel flying through the midst of heaven, saying with a loud voice, Woe, 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 to the inhabitants of the earth, by reason of the other voices of the trumpet of the three angels which are yet to sound. Notice the similarities between the acts of the two witnesses and the results of the first three trumpets blown in heaven. The witnesses have the power to withhold rain, turn the waters to blood, and unleash plagues. After the trumpets are blown, widespread fires break out, possibly due to the lack of rain, and various things occur to affect the world's water supply. When the world water supply is compromised, all manner of plagues can set in. The results of the fourth trumpet that affect the sun, moon, and stars are symbolic in nature. The darkening of the sun, moon, and stars occur throughout Bible prophecy before a time of judgment takes place. In this case, after these events come to pass, the final judgment will be upon the world. As each year goes by today, we get more and more of a taste of things to come. Remember, Psalm 91 says, believers will witness thousands and thousands of people dying on all sides during the time of trouble, but nothing will affect them within their dwelling places. The prophecies of the first four angels with trumpets, Psalms 91, and the two witnesses take place in the same time period, right before Christ returns. It is important for believers to be aware of all these things so they can be fully prepared for the times to come. If you'd like to hear more Bible-based information concerning the end times, hit the like button and share this information with others who may be interested, and subscribe to this channel to see more videos concerning what's to come.